Hi everyone, this is Kutsal from Helicon, and in this video I'd like to introduce you to Chainviz, which is a real-time 3D visualization web application for Kusama and Polkadot. So when you look at the screen you can see the application running, but first things first, there is a release article for this first major release. Written by myself, and it's on Medium. I'm going to drop a link to this article in the description, and in this article you can find the background for Chainviz and why I decided to develop it, where the idea is originating from, and the vision, the future vision for the application, and the development and design process, and some software architecture information. Also some future plans. So the link is in the description. You can just visit this article and find more details there. So let's take a brief look at the application at each component, and then I'll take you through every component in more detail. So let's take it from the top, and I'll just reload the application. I just go to the URL chainviz.app, and you'll see the application making the necessary connections and fetching the necessary initial data. Now it's fetching the most recent blocks for Kusama, which is the default network for the application. And now it's got the data and it started running. And we can see the application running. So let's go through each component very quickly first. So at the top center you have the network selector. We have Kusama and Polkadot available. And at the center of the screen we have the active validators distributed over the surface of the sphere, and every validator is represented by a sphere. And around the active validators you'll find the parachains for that relay chain. And right at the top right we have the network status display. And below that we have block list. And also here through available through the menu we have the textual validator list and the search bar. And the About section contains some basic information about the application. And right at the bottom left, we have the XCM transfer list, which is powered by the Polkaholic API. I'm going to talk about it in more detail in a bit. And we have some links here. So yeah, let's go through every component in more detail now. So this is basically network selector, and I can change the selected relay chain here, but let's remain on Kusama for now, and let's take a look into the validators, the active validators. So every validator here, before that actually, this, as you can see, this is rotating by default. If I want to stop it, I can just enter into this circular area with my mouse pointer, and it's going to stop the rotation. And I can hover over a validator to view its basic information. So this view contains its identity, the blocks finalized in the era, which were produced by this validator, and era reward points so far. Also the return rate, if it's calculable. If it's a parachain, then if it's a paravalidator, then the parachain it's assigned to, if there's any at that moment, and also the active and inactive nomination amounts. So I can do this for every validator, every active validator available. So you can see that the sizes of the validator spheres vary a bit, and this is directly proportional to the error reward points, so relative points to the other validators. So the higher the reward points, the larger the sphere is going to be. So if I'd like to view the details of any validator, I can just click on it, and it's going to display the validator details view. And here I have the identity or the address, whether it's a paravalidator, whether it's assigned to one. I can So if it's assigned to a validator, I can see the connection here and also the name of the parachain right here. So the stash address and controller address, I can click on these to display the Subscan account page. And more details about the validator is also available right here, like finalized blocks in error produced by this validator, error reward points so far, return rate, active stake data, self-stake and stake from other active stakers, and inactive nominations. So for this validator we have 217 inactive nominations, totaling up to this much KSM. And we have some icons here as well. Some of these icons are going to be familiar to you if you use Polkadot.js apps. So we have the ident icon here. This indicates whether the validator is enrolled in the 1000 validators program for that relay chain, whether the validator is active in the next session. And let's see, so there's this one, this indicates whether the validator has sent the heartbeat for that session. So yeah, this is the validator details, and let's move on to the basic network data. Like I said before, we have basic block number, finalized block number, error index, error reward points distributed to validators in the area so far, and some staking numbers, the total stake by all nominators, the minimum stake for a validator, average stake for validators, and the maximum stake behind a single validator. And below that, as you can see, we can view the block list, and you can see the blocks being produced in real time following these beams. So yeah, it's going to come from a validator into the block list, and I can click on a block to view its details. I can view the timestamp, finalization status, block hash, some other block details as well, the author, validator, extrinsic list, and the event list for the block. So as you can see, this is an unfinalized block, and so on and so forth. So that's all for the block list. Like I said before, we have validator list here. So we can search for validators here. I'll search for Helicon validators. I can click on one of them and view the details here. So this one's a pair validator at the moment. It's pair validating cross shadow. And yeah, about section has some basic information. So I go back to main. I think that's it for this right section. And here we have at the bottom left the XCM transfer list. This is going to display the last 5 XCM transfers, and this section is completely powered by the Polkaholic XCM API. I'm going to drop a link to the documentation of the API in the description below, so you can visit it and use it yourself if you're interested. So when I hover over an XCM transfer, it's going to highlight the involved parachains right here. So this is coming from Bifrost to Kusama, and you can see the icon of Bifrost being highlighted when I hover over this. Likewise, so if I close this, you can see Moonbeam and Bifrost highlighted. So if I click on this, I can see that the transfer is from Moonriver to Bifrost Kusama, and the amount is 0.60 MOVR. And if I click on the hash, it's going to take me to the Polkaholic transfer details page. It's not opening at the moment. Maybe there's an access problem. But yeah, you can view the complete transfer details through the Polkaholic transfer details page. So yeah, likewise, I can display all the details of all transfers here. So this is only going to display the 5 most recent XCM transfers. And below that you have some links to the Helicon homepage, SubVT page, Substrate Validator Toolkit, whose backend services power this application, and the source code. You can go to the repository. I'll drop a link for the source code in the description as well, so you can just go through the README, to get information about how to build and run the project, how to test it, and you can make modifications and run it yourself, or you can use the Docker images as described here to run the application locally. And yeah, there's a link to the design team, Claude, who designed the complete UX and UI of the application here as well. They're at cloud.design, so you can view their webpage as well. And I think that summarizes everything that's available on Chainviz, this version. And let's just take a look how to take a look at the process of changing the network. So we just go here and click on the relay chain we want to switch to. So if I want to switch to Polkadot, it's going to hide the views temporarily, and it's going to make the necessary connections and fetch the necessary data. And then we have the application running again for Polkadot. So we have the XCM transfers, just like we had on Kusama. We have parachains, para-validators, and validator details, and summary information on hover as well. And we have the textual validator list here. So I think that's it for this version. Like I said, you can go to the release article and go through it for more details. And you can still access the alpha version if you were familiar with it at alpha.chainviz.app. There's a link to this in the article as well, but I'm going to drop a link in the description for this one too. So you can view the alpha version here, which is missing the parachains and other stuff, but if you're interested in taking a look, it's still available. And the source code for this one is available too, and you can find the link to that in the article. So I think that's it for now for version 1 of Chainviz. I'm hoping to make more videos for the future versions and future updates of Chainviz. And yeah, I hope you find Chainviz useful and exciting. See you in a later video. Thanks.